Yeah, I think it was about 2020. I remember the pivotal moment that I was shoveling my driveway in beautiful West Kelowna. And I don't know how or why it happened, but I had this moment that just struck me and it stops me dead in my tracks. I put the shovel down. I looked around and I realized I was chasing something that wasn't mine, that other people had told me to create. And listen, I had it all. We had just bought our first home. I was making well into six figures from a financial perspective. We just had our second baby boy. So I had two kids. I was married to a beautiful, smart woman. Everything I was told to chase, I chased and I achieved. But I stood there in that moment feeling empty as anything, looking around, looking at the life I created that was supposed to fulfill me. And I truly didn't know the answers in that moment. I didn't know why this even came down on me like it did, but I knew I had to do something different because what I was told as a man to do and achieved it wasn't the answer. So to not keep you here all day, I started to dive into some tools. I did start to look at my fitness journey and I realized, okay, you've probably been picking up a drink a little too often, working hard, coming home, having a drink. It's the normal thing. It's what people do, right? But again, when kids' birthday parties were coming, when my birthday would come, when Christmas would come, I wasn't feeling anything. So I knew that something was missing. So coincidentally, which we know there are no coincidences, I had a chat with a coach friend of mine who I considered to be a mentor over the years. And it was actually, I reached out to him for somebody else and said, you've done X, Y, and Z. She's looking to do this. Can you help her out? And then he happened to ask the question, honestly, sincerely, man to man, beyond talking about sports and how you doing. He asked me how I was genuinely doing. And in that moment, I opened up and I was honest and I said, you know what, Cam, I don't really know what's going on right now. I'm not sure. I'm not feeling a lot. I'm doing great, I think, apparently, on the outside, but I knew something was off. So I'm so glad I came across him. He's a very pivotal part of my journey. But I started to look at the tools. I started to dial in my nutrition, not complicated things. We hear it. We hear all of it, right? I started to put down the drinks more often. I started to dial in my fitness daily. Then I was introduced to breath work. Then I was introduced to creating habits in the meditative space and journaling and all these tools that I was like, wow, of course I've heard of all of these. These are no secret, but I started to actually do them and implement them. And as months went on, I got fit. I got feeling great. I was mentally sharp, but I was still going fast. I really was still living in my ego. I was still chasing money and still chasing many things that were unfulfilling, even though it was starting to kind of creep into this space. And I had a time where my joints started to get sore. I got inflammation in my body. I was working out heavily, so I was like, oh, maybe I'm just a bit sore. And so I would take a break, and worse and worse. And then I went to the doctors, and they couldn't figure it out. And after months of testing, I hired a naturopath privately, back and forth again for another couple of months, radiologists, you name it, everything under the sun. We did neurology testing, X-rays, blood tests. They couldn't find anything. But the naturopath finally came and she said, I conferred with a colleague and they think you might have Lyme disease. And at this time, sincerely, I've heard of Lyme disease, but I had no idea what it was. And so I paid for private testing way to Germany and we got the testing back and I had 5 different diseases in my body. So for me, this could have been scary as hell, but for me, it was a win. I was like, I have an answer. I know what I need to target now. I know what I can go after. But lo and behold, I continued to go fast. I was told it was in the early stages. I was told no problem, we'll take antibiotics and it'll be gone. So I took it half seriously. As the months went on, I would do rounds of antibiotics, then I would heal my gut, go back to rounds of antibiotics. I went from weighing 225 pounds down to 160 pounds. I am a 6'1" man. I'm pretty tall, so I should not be weighing 160 at this age or time in my life. I was frail. I was very, very sore. My body was just deteriorating like crazy, and no doctors, no naturopath, anything anymore could help me. And I was still working. So let me put this in perspective. I was still working. I was getting close to the end of the sales year. My targets were important. It's what I had built my identity on. I look back now and all I can do is laugh. So finally, in that fall, I knew I had a choice to make. I was in a very dark place. I was crying through the night. I couldn't even pick up my baby boys without being in extreme pain. And I knew I had to make a choice to start doing research on my own and dive inward and take it into my own hands. And so in December of that year, I had actually found, in speaking with a friend of mine, he said to me, I heard that cambo treatment is good for Lyme disease because it boosts your immune system. Now, cambo treatment is where they take secretion, poison essentially, from an Amazonian frog and they burn it into you. And it fires your immune system immediately because your body has to fight that poison. And here I am, not knowing what the hell that was. I had to look it up. And he said, I heard there's a shaman in Vancouver who does it. I said, give me your number. Can you get it for me? And I rang them, gave a call, and she was booked for months because there's not many of them around apparently. But she said, I can tell the urgency here and I'm going to get you in. Let me give them a call. And she ended up getting me in December 18th, 2020. And I drove down to Vancouver during one of the worst snowstorms I've ever seen on the Coquihalla, which is a very dangerous highway, frail as could be, to see this woman. And I spent 3 days with her doing this day after day, 3 or 4 hour sessions with her. Cambo treatment is not enjoyable. You purge, you puke a lot. It's very uncomfortable, but that is the point, is that you are supposed to purge everything that's not right in your body. Now, it's not a psychedelic, okay? But I will tell you, on my last day, I had something happen to me that I can only explain as some sort of awakening, some sort of unlock. I went there to boost my immune system. During one of the sessions, I had in the lower left side of my body something unlock. I literally felt a key. It felt like a key turning my lower left side of my stomach. And I left feeling lighter, as you can imagine. I left not knowing what direction I was going. But from that day forward, I have leaned into nothing but my own tools, what is within my capabilities. And listen, I'm going to backtrack for a second, because during this period, I did everything under the sun you can imagine, including coffee enemas, and nobody was willing to help me out with those. So I was doing it myself. Anything I could find that was going to help or that people had used to fight Lyme, I was trying. Drinking the worst potions from all across the world, nothing really worked. But when I realized it was me, all the answers were within me, I was my healer, everything has changed since. I don't do anything secret today. I take one supplement, it's chaga mushrooms. That's it. Other than that, it is breath work, it's meditation, it's a very healthy lifestyle. But in going through that, I had no choice. I could say I chose to bring it to the world. I had no choice but to say, you know, I have to bring this to the world, that people need to know they are their own answer to everything, guys. We create all the challenges in our world. We create all the wins. But I know this is a business group as well. And so it's really important for me to relate this and bring it back to business, because listen, in my going fast days, through it all, the universe kept telling me to slow down, slow down, slow down. And it wasn't until I had no choice, till the universe literally reached up and grabbed me and took me down, that I had to look inside. I had to start to shift and give perspective on these pieces. And I will tell you, in all my facets of my life now, whether it's my family, whether it's my relationship, my kids, my business, or my corporate life, slowing down has unlocked everything.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed that video, I think you'll enjoy this one as well. And while you're at it, please subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate it.